Hi everyone, welcome to Wisdom Podcast, where women in science share the stories behind their success, challenges, and failures. So, I'm Brinda Palyana, the host for Wisdom Podcast, and whether you're new to this journey or looking forward to a new step in your journeys, then this is the space for you. So, for today's conversation, we have Dr. Amanda Ramirez, who is the Student Success and Talent Pipeline Leader who serves as the Director of Student Success here at Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences at UT Health San Antonio. So welcome, Dr. Ramirez.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hi to everyone on the podcast, watching the podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us. So the first question is, you have worn many hats. You're a clinician, you're an educator, strategist. You're there for students all the time. So how would you describe yourself to someone who is outside of academia?
Typically, I describe myself as just I get to be a giant cheerleader in all the roles that I'm in. I get to cheer students on. I get to cheer local city development and regional development and life sciences or my patients on. And so I describe myself as a cheerleader who mixes career development with this ecosystem lens to really support how we develop and how we can build from there, because I might work with individuals, but we have to think bigger if I want to support those individuals, and I have to understand the world in which they live. And that's essential as a clinician, and that's essential as the Director of Student Success.
That's so cool. So your work actually lives at the intersection of empathy, equity, and many more. So what sparked this passion in you to build such equity in healthcare and education?
Yeah, I would say, I grew up, born and raised in San Antonio. I've lived all over. So I've lived in Boston, Phoenix, Utah, New Jersey, all over. But what grounds me is my family, who's from San Antonio. So they grew up, a lot of my family grew up in the Edgewood community, which is one of the poorest communities here in San Antonio. And so not a lot of access to great schools, not a lot of access to healthcare. A lot of blue collar workers. And so seeing that and knowing, I was one of the privileged ones that had access to things that my mom and dad really worked hard for. But my cousins who I grew up with weren't offered those same opportunities because of life circumstance, really pushed me to explore, how do I break that cycle? How do I open doors for people rather than close them? Because I love my cousins. They are all brilliant, and they were not given the same opportunities because the system didn't allow it. So part of it was, how do I make sure that that doesn't happen again for the next generation of cousins, my second and third cousins, that their family has opportunities to access healthcare, access doctors, and access a quality education.
That also requires building a lot of systems, right? Building an ecosystem and everything. So Dr. Ramirez, I can see that whatever you say requires building a lot of systems, bringing people together. So what part of this particular work or your building systems excites you the most?
I think it's just really bringing really cool people together. I think all of my students are brilliant, and they're going to change the world. You're going to change the world. PC, you're going to change the world back here on the camera. Whether through podcasting or through the science that you're doing, it's going to change things. And it all starts with basic science. And so knowing that my job is to cheer you on and to show people your potential, and then to introduce you to other really cool people wanting to do the same thing. I just love bringing people together, and there's so much joy in building connection, and to see that dynamic. And a part of me, as a clinician, I love to see how people interact with each other. And I love the magic that can be made when you make a really good connection, because you never know where it might take you. Some students have gone to work for big pharma, other students have gotten writing positions, other students are becoming entrepreneurs because of an introduction, because they didn't know. And so all it takes is bringing the right people to the room, which is really what I strive to do, whether I'm here on campus at UT Health San Antonio, or whether I'm out in the community with the other organizations that I'm a part of. all about bringing the right people to the room to solve these like bigger complex problems and to reduce silos, because not enough people talk to each other. Not enough people, Brenda, know what you're doing in the lab.
No, yeah, so true.
And they need to know.
Yeah.
They need to know because it's important, right? Because it has implications and further implications. When I describe what y'all are doing in the lab, they're like, wait, that happens? Like, you can understand how like Parkinson's, like the functions and the mechanisms, or aging or cancer. And I'm like, yeah, and my students are studying it. They're studying C cells, they're studying proteins. And yes, I don't know the complex science of it, but I can say without a doubt that you're going to change things for everyone and revolutionize. So it's easy. It's easy to want to bring good people and introduce them to other good people.
That's so insightful, to be honest. And we need people like you who can support us. And really, you are at the intersection where you connect students or trainees with an early career scientist to actually proper mentors. So what is that mindset shift that you think women would have it that would make it so much better?
I think part of it is believing that you belong in whatever room you're in. There are rooms that I go into and I'm like, I don't know if I have a purpose here, or like I'm in a room full of people that don't do what I do or don't understand what I do. And I go in with that mindset, and it really stops me from meeting cool people, because what ends up happening is I go into the event and I'm still like, okay, I'm going to give it a try. Let's let my guard down. I'm going to give it a try. And I meet people that are like artists and storytellers, which is the complete opposite of what I do, right? Like we're in hard science, the complete opposite. I'm like, oh, like this will just be me making friends. And then I learn and I'm like, wait, I can use these skills. I can learn from you. You are brilliant in your craft at artistry and storytelling and filmmaking and modeling or marketing, or whatever the case might be. And there are things I can learn from you, and you never know who you're going to come across that's going to change your life.
That's so true. That's so true. It's like learning is everywhere. It's like open. And I know there might be some situations where you had to advocate for yourself and your work. Was there any moment in your life or in your career where you had to like advocate your voice or your vision at the table?
Yeah, I would say in my current position. So my bosses are great. I love the GSBS, the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, and the way they support me. And so my job description originally was to really focus on career services. So career coaching, resume reviews, CV reviews. And then I started to do economic development, and I started to analyze data on looking at employment outcomes for people with PhDs and masters. And I tried to look at trends for people with bachelor's degrees even, and associate's degrees in San Antonio, across Texas, across the US. And I started to look at that, and people were asking, hey, why are you talking about economic development and bringing companies? Isn't your job like restricted to graduate students? And so I, like with data, I had to bring to them, like, you don't see how all of these things are connected, how we have to start at high schools, how we have to start at community colleges for people to eventually want to go get their master's and PhD. But also, if we want brilliant minds to stay in San Antonio, if we want brilliant minds to stay in Texas, we need to give them opportunities. And yes, even if that means bringing jobs out here that have 4 or 5 positions for PhD master students, that's 4 or 5 positions we didn't have. This is a long-term plan, right? Doing this economic development work of like, this is going to be 10 to 15 years down the line where we're going to see like hopefully big results. But convincing people that I belonged in the room, when originally I was just supposed to be a career advisor and career coach working with just graduate students individually, to saying like, no, I can impact the city, I can impact the state. My voice is important. It took some time, and it took some convincing, and it took some data to assert myself and to say, like, my job is more than just a career coach. My job is to be an advocate for you on a local, national, and international level. And so I will be in whatever room I need to be in so that y'all can get in the rooms that you need to be in for science to happen.
Thank you so much, because I think the advocacy, what you do, what the school supports, I think most of our students here or our seniors, they're all at very good positions right now, which is very important. And I can also see that your work is very heavy, very complex. So are there anything or any rituals that helps you stay grounded or reminds you why your work is so important?
Um, so it's interesting because I was a therapist for a while doing individual therapy and just individual therapy with my clients, and I loved it. But I remember going to my boss and being like, hey, I think I'm stuck in my office a little too much. Like, I need to go out and see people. I'm a people person. So I started to do workshops in the community and outreach and working with different schools and universities on ways they can shape policy. And then I started to get into a lot of that. And I'm like, wait, I'm missing my clients, right? So it's like a balance of the two. And I feel the same way now of, I love getting out there and working on the system to support you, but I need to see you and meet with you and hear your science story and what you're doing in the lab so that I can be inspired again. Because that stuff gets exhausting. And also, I need stories to tell that are beautiful, that keep me fueled, right? And the story of y'all in the lab and what your potential is helps to fuel me. So it's really, by you telling your story, it helps for me to share my story and also the story of the university with others. And that's what excites me most, is people's stories.
Absolutely. Like sharing each other's stories and getting inspired through them is like one of the best things that can happen. And I think that is what we as Wisdom, we are trying to do. And now a fun one to just close. So if your work as a building ecosystem and building career pipelines is like on a billboard in the downtown San Antonio, what would it sound like?
Oh, this one I saw on the list that you sent me, and I was having such a hard time because I'm not a like a marketing person. But I think it would say something like not all science is basic. Because I think people are like, oh, just scientists in a lab doing little things. And I'm like, no. It's actually, even though it's called basic science, it's complex and it's important. And I think people need to be excited about that and be excited about the profession because there's a lot of opportunity. And I think people only assume oftentimes that you can only be a medical doctor, a nurse, a physician assistant, right? The doers working with clients, which are amazing. They do great work. But we also need people doing science in the lab, breaking things down to a basic level, but not basic in the sense of a bad thing, basic in the sense of the foundation for which we live and breathe, right? We need to understand that to understand the big picture. We need those people, and not enough people talk about basic science and what it is. Because if you ask my cousins from the West Side, they don't know. Right? And people don't understand what basic science is. So I will say I am now working with the city and stakeholders across Texas to try to figure out how do we communicate that there's these really awesome careers in science to any person. Because when you say you can go into biotech or medtech, it's very intimidating. I don't even know how to describe that. So I think it would be something to effect of trying to advertise and make it make people more aware of the importance of basic science and that it's not all basic.
So true. So true. Like, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure having you here. And I think all of us got to know what exactly your work entails and what are the different careers through you. So it's a great pleasure to have you here, Dr. Ramirez. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you so much. And then I'm also going to use this moment to plug Biomed Career Fest. We have a little mug over here.
Yes.
It's our event on March 27th. It brings together graduate students and postdocs from across Texas. And the goal is really to show you opportunities because you all matter. And there's so much focus on undergrad sometimes that graduate students get lost in the mix. And so this event is meant to uplift you. And so I hope you can join us.
I still remember attending my first Biomed Career Fest last year. It was such an eye-opening event where I got to expose to a lot of scientists from different companies, a lot of different career options too. And it was amazing to have a career panel and all of the scientists talked about it. I think this was such a good event. So I highly recommend all of you guys to be at Biomed Career Fest. So I recommend all of you guys to be at Biomed Career Fest, and please register because registrations are still open.
Absolutely. Registrations are still open. And this year we're having a career panel on AI and the role AI plays in potential career options and also getting yourself out there as a graduate student. So I'm really excited about this panel.
I know AI is everywhere now, and it's so important to know that, how AI can help in research and a lot of other things. So don't forget, guys, please register for Biomed Career Fest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for watching. Please keep following Wisdom and Wisdom Podcast. Thank you.